Something else to talk about when it comes to money matters with your course creation is what if someone really loves what you create and they want you to create something for them? That's the ultimate aspect for some of you is that it gets so well known that people want it. So let's talk about the options. The first might be the most typical that you see with a nonprofit or another for profit organization where they want you to present the material to their team, their business, their group. When that happens, you'd have a price point based on how much energy it takes to prep for that presentation, the materials, and of course, your time in the actual presentation. You also want to think ahead about if you're comfortable with them recording the content to share with future employees or people that they bring on into their business. So those are things to factor in. If someone's like, hey, I love what you do. Can you create a course for us? Or can we have the content to use in our business? Another option is licensing. So maybe there's a nonprofit or for-profit organization that wants to take what you've already created and have a license to use it. So they're not changing anything, they're not rebranding it, they're just utilizing it as is. So they're maintaining trade secrets, intellectual property is still yours, but they're paying you a year to year or however your contract looks to license. So it's a license agreement with that company and your company saying it's okay to use your material. So those are two options. Another significant option for folks is the white labeling. So that's a term for taking all of your content, branding it as theirs with permission, of course, and then they monetize it and utilize it as they see fit. So that might be true of like nonprofits who want to take your training material and implement it with their programs. That's probably the most common example for white labeling, but also for higher education institutions or online programs where they're like, hey, I want to use vetted material that has a reputable instructor already attached, and we want to brand it under our stuff or our name and reputation to then monetize and give out to the community. So with white labeling, it's a little bit more tricky because there are some things you need to be thinking about, which includes the immediate costs to give them your material. So it could be like a one-stop, here's my price point for the sale of that product, versus maybe you're thinking about royalties or a fee every time someone purchases that product with that company. So most of us, especially for the helping professionals on here who are mental health professionals, this might be a new concept to think about. Well, yeah, it's exciting to have a lump sum when we're selling a course to somebody, but would it actually be more lucrative for you as a business owner to receive a fee for a certain number of years after it launches? So those are kind of the two key components. You want in writing how many years that you can collect a fee. Maybe it's 10%, 20%, something like that, depending on the price point. But also how long will that be collected? How often will it be paid out to you? And in the sense of when is that done? So if you sign a contract that says I get 20% of what is made on this course every quarter, it's paid out to you, but it's only good for 3 years, you need to be mindful of that. Another important aspect is having it in writing that it's when the course launches, right? So we don't have the 3 years to start while you're still negotiating how it's going to be white labeled. We want it to launch and then have those 3 years start so that you can actually receive the benefits or those royalties or those fees for the course once it's live to the public. So I should have probably started this video by saying I'm not a lawyer. I'm definitely not an intellectual property lawyer. This is all things I've learned through my own experience with my 20 online offerings that I have up right now, but also with consulting with an intellectual property lawyer. So I recommend you all consult with a legal representative on how to protect your intellectual property while also thinking of the big picture of, is it beneficial to have a sale and one and done on a product that you created? Or is it more about the royalties aspect? Kind of like when you write a book, can you get a percentage back for every book that's sold? So in the case of courses, what would that look like to have a fee that you collect every time someone partakes in the material that you've created? I hope this is helpful to talk about. I know it's been a couple of years, and I think this comes up more now than ever as a lot of us are considering courses and other online offerings.